Hey, Bit Squad. Today we are joined by Alex Adelman from Lolli. You guys might remember I did a review tutorial on Lolli. I've actually done 2 videos on them over the last couple of months. So, Alex, how are you doing? Excited to talk about Lolli today.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So, I guess let's just jump right into it. So, if you could just kind of give from your perspective, your title is CEO, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Correct. So, as a CEO, just give us like kind of 30,000 foot overview of what Lolli is and how people can use it.
Yeah. So we've created the easiest way for people to earn Bitcoin when they shop online. So we thought that it's too difficult for people, for the masses, to get into mining. It's very difficult and not really that reasonable to consider everyone as an investor in the world. And so we previously, our last company was bought by Ebates. We got to understand the cashback model well. We had been in the Bitcoin space for about 5 years. And we thought that one of the biggest problems in the space was distribution. So how do you make Bitcoin more accessible to all? And you take something that everyone does, which is shop, and you give them the ability to earn Bitcoin when they do something like shop. So yeah, it's very simply a Bitcoin rewards platform that makes it really easy for people to earn Bitcoin when they shop online.
Yeah, and it's not like, I think when people hear that, I think they would probably be super impressed if they actually knew the companies that you work with. So we'll kind of get into those companies in a little bit and some new partnerships you guys have here in a few minutes. But if you could just kind of explain, like, because I know people are curious, like, how does it actually work? Like, how are people able to shop for everyday items, whatever I use it for Priceline all the time. Like, I've used it several times. It's very useful. But how, like, what are the mechanics? Like, how does this actually work where people are spending money at like Walmart.com and they're getting money back in Bitcoin?
Yeah, great question. A lot of people like think it's just like magic, and the real answer it's not. It's an actual real business model. We partner with these merchants, and they're incentivizing a company like ours to send people to their site to shop, and so they pay us in cash. And a lot of sites get paid like that, but a lot of them don't share it with the consumer. So how we're different is we share that with the consumer, sending Bitcoin to their Lolli wallet. So Walmart, for instance, pays us in US dollar. We send the Bitcoin to our users' Lolli wallet, and they can do whatever they want with their Bitcoin from there.
Yeah, so it's kind of like affiliate program on steroids is kind of what it is, I guess, in some form or fashion.
Sort of, yeah. It has functions of affiliate programs. Yeah, with this sort of abstraction layer of rewards for the consumer, for sure.
Yeah, because people don't realize like how many things you go and click on out there that like kind of in the YouTube space, like when we promote things like Bybit or some other kinds of leverage trading referral programs or the Binance referral program, like we say, hey guys, this is a ref link, but a lot of people don't realize like when they're shopping online, or not even when they're shopping, but when you're reading news articles, like they got affiliate links embedded in that. It's basically all incentivizing people to go visit different websites and things like that. So really cool that you guys have been able to carve out a little niche there to where you guys aren't making all the money. You guys are sharing, back in Bitcoin for people for, just buying average items. And speaking of average items, let's hear, like, what are some of the, bigger, obviously you guys work with, what's the number now? Like, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, so we work with over 950 merchants today. So, and it's, as you said, like top merchants. We have Walmart, Booking.com, Hotels.com, Priceline, Overstock. Just a lot of great merchants have come on the platform, and we didn't start like that. Like a year ago, we started and we had about 500, and we've shown a lot of these merchants that they can attract a new shopper, and the shopper wants to earn Bitcoin more than they want to earn cash or anything else. So yeah, and everybody likes something for free, and you're earning free Satoshis, free Bitcoin when you shop, and it's a significant amount too. Like our average percent back is 7% across all our merchants.
Wow. And some of the merchants, they don't like, you don't actually get the rewards. There's like kind of like a net receivable window there. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's about 30 to 90 days. I mean, you always get it, but a lot of merchants can't reward on like real time. And that's not anything unique to us. Like if you look at Ebates, they reward every like quarter. So the model that we're actually going after is faster. But what we're waiting on is for the merchant's return period to pass. So imagine, if you bought a $1,000 TV from Walmart and then you got your Bitcoin and you returned it, that model doesn't work. Nobody wins that. The consumer wins, but that's not really like a fair model. So the 30 to 60, 90 days is pretty typical in the space for the merchants to be able to pay out, considering that it's based on the return period.
Yeah. So I know when I did the last video on Lolli, that was like my suspicion. I said it's probably because it'd be real crazy if people bought stuff, got the Bitcoin immediately, and then they returned the stuff. So
exactly.
It's definitely not a sustainable model and things like that. So, and I noticed that some of the ones you work with are like capped, like, sometimes it might be capped at like you can get, $3.50 or something like that. And then others are kind of based on percentages. You kind of like talk about that for a minute and give us an idea of like why different companies are paying out different rates.
Yeah, it really depends on what the product is. So flights, for instance, are notoriously have very small margins. And so flights are like typically like set percent back. Like Cheapo Air pays out like $8 in Bitcoin, and it's on every flight. Priceline, I think it's like around $2 per flight. So there's hotels are a little different. There's like higher margins based on like demand and pricing with the different aggregators. So it really depends on what the product is and what the margins are. Really what it's doing is it's coming out of their marketing budget because they're attracting a new consumer to their site. So that's where we're able to negotiate on behalf of our users higher rates. So far our rates have gone up even higher because the more users that we have on the platform, the more we're able to negotiate with the different merchants. And I think we're super active on Twitter, and I love when our users like request new merchants, and I share that with them all the time because it shows like real activity, and I get to go to the merchants and say, look, we have a highly engaged user base, and we get to have higher rates back. So the more you share like stacking sats and earning Bitcoin with like Walmart and Priceline, the more people share it online, the more that like a Walmart or Priceline loves that, and then will give us higher rates across the board.
Gotcha. Awesome. So how many users do you guys have? Do you guys know the number of users you guys currently have using Lolli?
Yeah, we do. We're not sharing the exact number yet, but tens of thousands of users, and yeah, we're pretty happy where we're at right now. And yeah, we're growing fast. So it's been really cool to see just like what people are like coming in, how they're using it. Also like how many new users are to Bitcoin. Like I think we're seeing right now like 30% female, and I think that's like a really great stat because it's showing that we're bringing a whole new audience into Bitcoin that previously was not there. I think most projects have under like 4% female. So I think that's been a really cool thing. And I hear all these like qualitatively all these stories from friends and people in customer support and on Twitter of earning their first Bitcoin, like, when they shop at Sephora or different things like that. So I think like, my whole thing is how do we make Bitcoin more accessible to the masses and just make it easier? And I really think that the best way to do that, the next step of doing that is around earning. And that's why we built Lolli.
Yeah, definitely. And, I'm not going to be stereotypical here. I'll speak about my own family. My wife is much more likely to do online shopping than I am. So she buys a lot of stuff online. My mailman came by today and I was outside. I said, you know what? I'll get the mail today. My wife always gets it. And of course she had like 3 things in the mail, 3 packages she has bought. I was like, what is this stuff? Who even knows? It's usually books. So the Barnes and Noble, merchant with Lolli is definitely one that, we've used before already. And I've been trying to push her towards that. So that's definitely really cool. So let's talk about, I want to talk about how you got into Bitcoin and kind of your involvement in the crypto space. But before we do that, I do want to ask you about some big partnerships that Lolli has. So if you could, I know Safeway and Udemy were recently added as partners. Do you want to talk about those or any other kind of recent partnerships you guys have?
Yeah, for sure. So Safeway was a really big partnership for us. It expanded our reach into grocery, taking Bitcoin and making it a part of everyday life. Everybody needs to eat, and so like how do we make it how do we add Bitcoin to somebody's ritual around grocery? So Safeway was like a really big partnership. So far, it's going well, and we should be expanding across other Albertson grocery stores soon. And then there's a lot of other grocery stores that reached out after we launched with Safeway because they got really excited about it, and they saw the buzz, they saw the retweets, they saw everyone like getting really excited about it and continuing to share when they stack sats at Safeway. So that was really big. And then Udemy is just like, close to my heart. I was working really hard on getting an education company on board. Udemy is a place that we send people all the time for great educational resources, really like premium content, people putting together courses both for beginner all the way to advanced. And so I personally love Udemy, and really was excited that we can build this partnership that lets us incentivize people to learn more about Bitcoin and other, crypto and blockchain projects. So I think Udemy is like a really great resource, and I'm excited for that partnership as well.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. I know Udemy was a place a lot of people were buying courses back in the last bull run. Of course, people weren't as excited about it getting into crypto over the last, up until the last, 4 or 5 months. But that's really cool. You guys got Safeway and you're looking at Albertsons. Do you know what Aldi is?
Yeah, I love Aldi.
Yeah, so I love Aldi too. It's super, super cheap groceries. It's like the same stuff in the regular store, but it's the knockoff version, and it's really cheap. So I don't know if you guys want to create like a second Lolli for Bitcoin Cash and have Aldi as the, have Aldi as the person people can work with there, because it's like the cheaper knockoff version, right? Is that not right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I went a long ways. I've been thinking, that one's been spinning in my head for a few minutes. But yeah,
I'll reach out to them. I've not talked to Aldi yet. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll have to call it something else, like Bali or something. Who knows? But okay, so let's talk about you, Alex. How did you get into crypto? What got you excited about doing a project like Lolli and things like that? Because obviously, you've got to be passionate about crypto to really jump in and do something like this.
Yeah, so I got my start really in building technology around age 12. I was building video games to start. Was really fascinated with like game mechanics and like why people play games. What are like the stories around them? Really looked at it as art, and then started building more serious, bigger platforms, more serious technology around like 16, and realized I could like make money, with doing consulting, building different projects there. And then over the years, would just get building bigger projects. And then as I was studying economics at UNC Chapel Hill, one of my fascinations was around microfinance and the ability to enable a group of people through commerce. And if you can enable this group of people, you could connect the entire world through commerce. So I kept studying like the Grameen Bank, the Kiva Institute, all the work that they were doing to enable microfinance. And so I think one of the biggest limitations is the interconnectivity of individuals and countries. And our inability to pay in micropayments was always just like this fascination. Just didn't make like economic sense. You had to find like an NGO, you had to fund that NGO, you had to trust that NGO was going to provide net good to the people that were there, and deploy that capital. And that's very expensive and inefficient. So how do you create this like worldwide marketplace and leads to the democratization of commerce? And so that idea was sort of brewing back in college about like 9-10 years ago. Wow. So I ended up I built this company with my current team. We started about 8 years ago, called Cosmic, and our mission was to democratize commerce. It was give everyone in the world the ability to buy and sell anywhere using better pipes, essentially, that connected the web and mobile. So we worked with like partners like Target and Best Buy and all of these different merchants, a lot of the same ones that we're working with today. And we built that company over about 5 years. We ended up getting acquired by our biggest customer to go and empower $1.2 billion in revenue at a site called ShopStyle that I got to meet a lot of like fashion merchants. And then eBay then bought us away from Pop Sugar to go and empower native commerce there. And we got to learn the cashback model there and also meet a lot more merchants. About halfway through building Cosmic, I remember learning about Bitcoin and just being fascinated with its ability to democratize commerce, but native to a currency. It was the first asset that I'd ever seen that was that let everybody be connected. I could own it. A friend in India could own it. A friend in Japan could own it, and we could all trade the same asset freely and without needing any intermediaries to transfer those assets. So, as somebody who had been working with remote engineers all over the world, somebody who had always been limited by payment systems, just as like engineer and a project manager and company owner, I was always like sort of frustrated with the current payment rails, and then learning about Bitcoin led me into really trying to deeply understand how can we make this world more connected and better through commerce. So that's how I got into it, and then when we were at Ebates, I just had that like aha moment of like, this is an incredible way to distribute Bitcoin to people through this model. And when we parted ways, it was the perfect opportunity to reassemble the team and start building Ebates for Bitcoin.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good summary. Ebates for Bitcoin. I like it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit about social media, your social media team and things like that. Talk a little bit about your social media. It's been very impressive to me. Like, it's a very fun account. What's kind of your objective with your social media presence?
Yeah, we want to keep it fun. I mean, rewards and earning is fun. Bitcoin is fun. It's interesting. I think that there needs to be this brand, this like voice in the space that is inviting with Bitcoin. I think when I first came into it, coming from tech, I even felt like it wasn't a very inviting space, and there were not resources like you around, and it was like really hard to find great resources to learn about Bitcoin. So I was like, when I tweet, when I put out content, I think of like what would I want to see.
So you're behind the account. It's you. Is that correct? Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Oh well, I didn't know I was talking to the social media guy. Well, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I'm the social media intern.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just try to keep it fun, and I think that we tell a lot of jokes and we share a lot of memes, but if you think about, I think memes are one of the best education tools. Like sometimes we shit post and we like joke around, but I think part of that is like inviting our community, which is largely new to Bitcoin, into this space and not making it feel so difficult to understand. So they should understand, what stacking sats is. Stacking sats is a very easy way for people to like share Bitcoin with people and to understand it. It's fun to say. It makes sense. It's like it gamifies, everything. So there's like a lot of things that I think we've been a big proponent of and work with different people on building out these memes and jokes for our account. So yeah, we're super active there. We share our partnerships there. We have fun.
Yeah, I call it edutainment.
Yeah, edutainment.
That's like what I do. It's entertainment. It's educational and it's entertaining. That's if we can't keep it entertaining, like your hardcore like coders and developers and financial traders, like we're gonna be limited on who can come in the space. That's just it. If you make it more for the common person, like you guys are doing with Lolli, like you said, basically the Ebates for Bitcoin. That's how what invites new people in. Like I'm not super nerdy. People who I talk to about cryptocurrency that don't know anything about it might disagree with that. But I'm just a normal guy. And if it wasn't for a lot of the YouTubers that I watch that were very inviting, that just brought people in, then I would never got super passionate or very interested in this because that's not my background. So definitely like what you guys are doing there with that. Now let's talk about the stacking stats controversy. So what happened with that? I mean, it was basically like you guys wanted to trademark the phrase stacking stats, and then you got a lot of pushback from the community. Kind of what was that like dealing with that? Because I know I've been involved in some drama here or there, really just one time. And it can be kind of daunting to deal with like a massive wave of people complaining about stuff. So you just kind of talk about how that unfolded and things like that. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think the biggest thing to clear up it started off as a big like misunderstanding. We never trademarked stacking sats. That was like fake news, but it was interesting to see, like if someone says you did something and then they put it out into the ether, and the forward panic that occurs from the mobs to like say it, and also like,
gosh, I hate the mobs.
It was also, I mean, if you looked at like who was doing it, it was a lot of like rival currencies that are like jealous that, I think were like Bitcoin only. And so a lot, I won't say who, but there was a lot of like the mobs were coming from like altcoins to like make it seem like a bigger deal than it was. I think that, I called up Marty and Matt and like, they're friends of ours. Like, we never trademarked stacking sats. And also it was the legal recommendation of our council to basically defend stacking sats for the community. So like trademarks aren't always used as mechanisms to like shut other companies down from using it, stop people from using it. I think that like there was a lot of like armchair lawyers on Twitter that day that
every day
like hopped in and was like, oh, this is what it means. And it's like, no, it doesn't. We were establishing the mark in commerce so that another company could not come along and try to use it against us in the community. I think stacking sats is one of the best memes in the space. We have invested a lot in using it and talking about it, and our community just loves saying it. And they love saying it every single time they earn. It's pretty much like us and Cash App are the two companies that people consistently say stacking sats, stacking sats. So it was like a defensive mechanism to establish it in commerce. And just to say, hey, look, we are using stacking sats in commerce. If there were a big company, a malicious third party that came along and tried to trademark it, it would be known that we use stacking sats and somebody else couldn't use it in commerce. So yeah, it was a big misunderstanding, but with a lot of those things, you just have to like apologize, clear it up, and make it right. And I think we did. So I think the community like understood. And then like, I mean, Marty and Matt, they like issued a, hey, it was a misunderstanding. We like love this company. They've always been pro Bitcoin, but it actually leads to a bigger, conversation around how do you defend marks like that? If you aren't willing to work with the state in which you're in, the U.S. and the laws, there's a lot of people in Bitcoin that just don't want to work within any laws. They don't want to do anything that the government says. And I get that. But if you're running a private company, there are certain things that you do have to do, like establish a mark in commerce that people are just not going to like. And the free market, we do not live in a perfect free market. And if you're building a company that isn't defending itself, like if we're not able to go use stacking sats in a year, if we had not done that move, I think a lot of people would be really sad and upset that we didn't do it. So that we didn't just establish the mark in commerce. So I think we cleared it up with everybody. I personally think I kind of think it's funny. We like troll ourselves and like TM stuff since then. And like I did like, TM, LOL, TM.
I saw that. Yeah.
And
that's what I tend to do when I get hateful comments, which I don't get a lot. I mean, I certainly get much less than many people out there. But when I get them, like I always just try to answer them with a troll myself, where I'm making fun of myself or something, So it's never you're turning negative on other people because there's literally zero benefit in doing that ever. So it's all about and not wasting your time either, So I think you guys handled it really well. And, one thing that drives me crazy is misinformation is when people jump on something or like, pitchforks and like they don't even have the right information. And so, that mob mentality is something we don't just see in crypto. We see it in politics. We see it in sports. We see it in basically every, the popular area in American life or human life. So, definitely something that I think you guys handled well. So
thank you. And it did bring up like, some really good things. I mean, I think like, I agree with you. Like outrage culture is very real, and it's scary, when to see that, like, to see misinformation spread like that. Again, you have to just like address it, like straight on and be honest with what you did. And I think that's the best policy. And then there's always going to be trolls with anything. So like, just invite it and be like, okay, like it's funny if you think about it. The idea that we would have done that, it's kind of funny. So yeah, we're just having fun with it. And I think with everything we've listened to the community for the last year, and they've been amazing. And so when they be very vocal about what, how you communicate with them and what you do, I think it's great. Like, any engagement is great engagement.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think a lot of the trolls don't realize that negative engagement, it counts the same for algorithms. So like on YouTube, if somebody dislikes a video, it counts the exact same for helping the video as it does if someone likes the video. So
yeah, I mean, we like not that I would want to do this again, but we got a ton of new downloads and a lot of new shoppers and a lot of people like that came out of the woodwork to be like, wait a second, this is how trademarks work and everybody should know that, and this is what they're doing. So there were a lot of like really smart people that came up to like clarify how trademarks actually work, and were really good in just sort of adjudicating across Twitter. So it was cool. Like our community like defended us and was like, no, Lolli has been good from the beginning. They've never done anything like, let's look for the facts. And so it was this good sort of debate that happened until we were able to like I was on phone calls and I had to like hop on Twitter and like but our community was amazing. Everybody defended us and was like, they know we're net good for Bitcoin. We've been a big proponent from the very beginning, and we've spread a lot of Bitcoin to a lot of new people, and we're going to continue to do that. So yeah, I think it lasted. I think it was like annoying for like 3 or 4 hours, and then we were like, okay, back to work. Let's keep getting chips, because it was a crazy week. We had to launch Udemy that week, and we're announcing a really big partner next week. So it's an exciting time over here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I always tell people when you're talking about trolls and things like that, like I always just tell people, remember, I literally hear people on sports radio sometimes say that Michael Jordan wasn't a great basketball player. Literally there's people that will make that argument. So every single person, every single company in the world's got haters, and you just got to deal with it. But Alex, it's been so great to have you on the show. If you could tell everybody, where they can find you, the Lolli website and things like that.
Yeah, so lolli.com, LOLLI.com. And then Try Lolli is our Twitter handle. And I'm at Alex Adelman, super accessible. And I want to answer everyone's questions. Really active on Twitter. It's where the bulk of our community is. Just check it out. And also I like our support team's amazing. If anyone has any questions about how to stack the most sats, or how to we almost serve as like consultants for people to like get into it, because people can earn a lot of money with Lolli, and we just want to like help people stack the most sats. So just let us know.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us. All right, we'll see you guys later.